Most people live their lives as an echo. They are a reflection of opinions, expectations, and approvals that were never truly their own. A select few, however, make a different choice. They decide to become the original sound, and that single decision rewrites their entire destiny. If you're hearing this, you likely sense a quiet rebellion stirring within you, a feeling that the script you've been handed is not the one your soul wants to perform. My name is, and here on Winds of Thought, we explore the architecture of a meaningful life. Across years of study, a pattern emerges from those who live with profound purpose and quiet power. Their secret isn't found in chasing external validation, but in pursuing a deep, relentless understanding of their own inner universe. This raises a question that might unsettle your current reality. When was the last moment you devoted yourself, truly and without agenda, to the exploration of who you are? Not your to-do list, not your roles, not your anxieties, but the core you beneath it all. Your authentic desires, the subtle evolution of your character, the dreams that whisper in your quietest hours. The painful truth is, our constant outward focus has severed our inner connection. That rupture is what chains us to unfulfilling routines, careers that dim our light, and relationships that leave us feeling half empty. But this can end now. I want to guide you toward a focused dedication to yourself, not as an act of ego, but as the most necessary foundation for a life that matters. A dedication that doesn't shrink your world, but expands your capacity to contribute something genuine to it. Let me share a pivotal moment from my own journey. In my late 20s, I was adrift. A series of personal and professional failures left me in a small room surrounded by the heavy silence of defeat. I had been a performer, tailoring my actions to an audience of parents, peers, and societal standards. That evening, a question pierced through the noise. If I were completely alone, answerable to no one's judgment, what path would I choose? My mind went blank. I had no answer because I had become a stranger to myself. That night, I chose to become the primary subject of my own life's work. I committed to studying my own nature with the focus of an archaeologist uncovering a lost civilization. That decision was the turning point, the catalyst that moved me from fragmentation to integration. Understand this clearly. To prioritize self-understanding is not narcissism. It is the preparation required to offer your highest gift. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You must first become the well. When you cultivate your mind, tend to your spirit, and honor your potential, you become a conduit for a force greater than your small self. Consider a musician. Is it selfish for them to master their instrument, or is it, in fact, their responsibility? In the same light, your moral duty is to evolve into your most complete form, because the world is starved for authentic contribution. This dedicated self-focus rests on four pillars that most never build with intention: your intellectual landscape, your emotional world, your sense of purpose, and your physical vessel. These are not isolated rooms, but interconnected chambers of one temple. Develop them in unison, and you initiate an inner alchemy that transforms everything. Let's start with your mind. For many, the mind is a public square, crowded with chatter, headlines, and other people's thoughts. Those who shape their destiny treat it as a sacred library. They curate its contents with extreme care. Before you let the day's chaos in, feed your mind something of substance. Read philosophy, listen to ideas that challenge you, write down your own nascent thoughts. This isn't a casual habit, it's an act of sovereignty. Observe the typical morning. A hand reaches for the phone, flooding the waking mind with global crises and curated illusions. Is it any wonder we feel scattered and anxious before the day has even begun? To focus on yourself means you command the gates of your perception. You choose the thoughts you entertain because your consciousness is the soil from which your life grows. I recall speaking with a man who felt utterly depleted. He said, "I spend my days solving emergencies for everyone else. By evening, there's nothing left of me for my own aspirations." I asked him, "How many minutes today did you invest in contemplating your direction?" He was silent. The answer was zero. He had vanished into the demands of others. We designed what I call sanctuary time, brief, non-negotiable periods for solitary reflection on his own growth. The change wasn't instant, but it was profound. Within months, he regained clarity and energy. When you commit to your inner development, you don't have less to give, you have more, and it is of a higher quality. This brings us to the second pillar, your emotional realm. Most people are passengers in their emotional state, tossed by every wave of circumstance. To focus on yourself is to take the helm. Your feelings are not random weather, they are a language. They tell you about your interpretations of the world, and those interpretations can be examined and rewritten. A woman once told me, "I'm constantly anxious and I don't know why." I shared a key insight. Your emotions follow the meaning you assign to events. Change the meaning and you change the emotional current. A healthy self-focus means observing your emotional patterns like a cartographer maps unknown territory, with curiosity, not criticism. When you comprehend their source, you cease to be their victim and become their author. Do you have an emotional toolkit? I developed one for myself. For instance, when anger or frustration rises, I immediately ask, what is this here to teach me about my boundaries or my values? That one question moves me from a state of reaction to a posture of learning. People meticulously learn to operate complex software, but neglect the operating system of their own hearts. To be dedicated to yourself means to become a student of your inner mechanics. It means identifying which conversations light you up and which dim your light, and then designing your days accordingly. For me, I require absolute silence each day. No inputs, just being. Initially, it felt indulgent. I learned it wasn't a luxury, it was maintenance. That space made me more creative, patient, and present in all my interactions. The third dimension is your spiritual core. I don't speak of dogma, but of your connection to a sense of purpose larger than your daily struggles. Years ago, a highly accomplished CEO confessed to me, "I have every marker of success, yet I feel like I'm reading lines from a play I didn't write." I asked him, "When was the last time you felt linked to a mission that transcended your balance sheet?" He had no reply. In his obsession with external metrics, he had lost his inner compass. A dedicated self-focus involves persistently asking, what is my unique offering? What principles do I hold sacred? These aren't questions you answer once. They are conversations you revisit as you grow. I schedule a weekly dialogue with myself on these themes. This clarity doesn't remove you from practical life. It illuminates it. You'll know which opportunities are aligned and which are distractions. You'll discern which relationships merit your energy. Imagine every major choice flowing from this deep self-knowledge. Instead of choosing from fear or fitting in, you act from integrity. That is the difference between a life lived by design and one lived by default. The fourth pillar is your physical being. This is where many misunderstand, equating body care with vanity. Nothing could be further from truth. Your body is the instrument through which every other experience is felt. If the instrument is out of tune, the music of your life will be too. You cannot access mental sharpness, emotional stability, or spiritual depth if your physical foundation is crumbling. Your vitality is the fuel for everything else. I approach movement and nourishment as foundational commitments, not optional hobbies. It is about honoring the vessel you've been given, so it can carry you toward your potential with vigor. This isn't about a sculpted physique, it's about sustainable energy. Imagine treating your body with the reverence a craftsman shows their finest tools. When you become devoted to your physical well being, every other facet of your life is elevated. Now, let's address the inevitable friction you'll encounter. When you start prioritizing your growth, not everyone will celebrate. Some in your life are accustomed to the version of you that places their needs first. As you set boundaries and invest in yourself, you may meet confusion or resistance. When I first carved out time for my morning practice, a close friend asked, "Isn't that a bit self-centered?" It was a valid question. My response was this: becoming deeply invested in your own development doesn't make you less available to others. It makes you a richer source of support. You must secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. If you are running on empty, your help is ultimately unsustainable. The resistance will also come from within. We are conditioned to believe self-sacrifice is noble and self-investment is selfish. But observe, how many perpetual givers are brimming with quiet bitterness and fatigue? Resentment is a signal you've overdrawn from your own account. You can only generously give to others when your own reserves are full. True wholeness, as taught by depth psychology, comes not from self-neglect, but from integrating all parts of yourself. Let me tell you about a client, a single mother of two. She was burned out, telling me, "My children are my entire world. I have nothing left for myself." I posed a challenging question. What are you teaching your children about how an adult should value their own being? This question shifted something in her. She saw that by neglecting herself, she was modeling self-abandonment. We built small, non-negotiable sanctuaries into her week: 20 minutes at dawn for reading, a weekly walk alone. The transformation was profound. She became more patient and present. Her children began to mirror her newfound self-respect. Her healthy focus didn't make her selfish, it made her a more whole and loving parent. So, how do you cultivate this? Start with what I term the daily anchor. This is a protected slice of time, same each day, dedicated solely to your development. Read, move, meditate, journal, but let it be yours alone. I began with 30 minutes at dawn. It felt difficult, but that anchor became the stabilizing force for my entire life. Start with 15 minutes. The duration matters less than the sacred consistency. You are declaring your own evolution a priority. The second practice is the weekly reckoning. Once a week, review your time and energy. Ask, how much of my life this week felt authentically mine? Where did I feel most alive? This isn't for self-judgment, but for awakening. Awareness is the first step toward change. On Sundays, I align my coming week with these insights. This practice prevents you from drifting off course. The third step is to build intentional boundaries. To become yourself, you must learn to say no to requests and paths that are not yours to walk. This is self-respect. Your time and spirit are finite resources. Before a new commitment, ask, does this resonate with my core self, or does it pull me away from it? We all have duties, but within your sphere of choice, selectivity is wisdom. Let me share one final story. A man in his 50s came to me feeling like a ghost. He said, "I've been the perfect son, employee, and father, but I have no idea who I am." I told him, then let's excavate. If all expectations vanished, what would remain? He was silent at first. We spent a week on observation, noting what sparked joy and what drained him. Slowly, a self emerged. He rediscovered a love for woodworking he'd abandoned decades ago. He realized he valued deep dialogue over small talk. He began, slowly, to reshape his life around these truths. He didn't make a dramatic leap. He took small, consistent steps back to himself. Years later, he wrote to me, "I am finally living my own story." That is the power of this journey. Not self-absorption, but self-reclamation. It is about finding your center so completely that everything you do emanates from a place of authenticity. As we close, I offer you both an invitation and a certainty. The invitation is this: begin today, not tomorrow. Dedicate 15 minutes to one act of sincere self-connection. Read a page that stretches your mind. Take a walk to clear your heart. Write one true sentence about what you desire. The certainty is this: if you make this a daily practice, your life will transform. You will build an inner confidence independent of applause. You will choose from clarity, not fear. You will form deeper bonds because you will meet others from a place of fullness, not need. And you will finally stop performing a life and start living the one that is uniquely, irrevocably yours. If this perspective resonated with you and you want to continue this exploration, please like this video and subscribe to Winds of Thought. It helps our community grow. Your life is not an audition for approval. It is the masterpiece you alone can create. Choose to become its devoted artist.